I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
What do you mean, calm it down? It's a fight. Referees telling two fighters who want to fight to calm it down? He should calm down.
I saw he's like a clown in his show, man. He's not your guy.
Because Tyson Fury's back, and all you motherfuckers are under attack.
Look, Eddie Hearn can say all what he likes. Who gives a shit what Eddie Hearn says? It's garbage.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
Can you let me retire and be happy? Please, just please.
Bombs away from the Bronx Bomber! Wanda! Let's go, baby! Let's go!
I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You not shit.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
I got dropped, man! Are you kidding?
No, you won the fight.
OMG, I am so excited.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube, podcast from iTunes, Spotify, radio, etc. I'm Matt, the Hipster Hunter. We're talking all things boxing today, all the news in the world of boxing. Not going to break down any of the fights. We did that on Monday's show. So if you want any of the fight previews and breakdowns, check out Monday's show. We also put out the clip version of the show after this one. So don't worry if you want just to see bits and pieces of the news. You just want the KSI Logan Paul debate? Don't worry, that's just a clip. If you want a Inoue Donaire breakdown, that's just a clip comes out after this show. But digressing, we're going to be talking Deontay Wilder rejecting the WBC franchise belt, at least in theory. He was at a media workout, I believe, and he was asked several questions about it, obviously, by the media. Tyson Fury out there on social media sending shots towards Deontay Wilder, which is odd. Last time I checked, he's the one that keeps saying he might do other things than fight Deontay Wilder. Odd. Plus, just a lot more news. Julio Cesar Chavez thinks that he's still fighting. So there's a lot of little tidbits of the news cycle we're going to get to. I'm going to rant about clenbuterol contamination somewhere in the show, so stay tuned for that. A lot to get to, but I'm of course joined, as usual on these shows, by the one and only. I'm going to get to Gary in a second. I went to him first last time. Going to Rob first this time. Robbie Hearns, a.k.a. UK Rob, twice removed, second cousin, whatever, from Eddie. Rob, how are you on this fine Wednesday day, this hump day? How are you, man?
I'm good. Yeah, Wilder pumping the brakes on any talk of franchise bout as far as he's concerned. So, yeah, we'll talk about that. Fury made the cut somehow.
It's Tyson Fury. He's a name. We gotta talk about.
Yeah. But yeah, a few other bits and bobs we'll talk about. So yeah, hit that thumbs up, share the show, all the usual stuff.
Yes, and of course, as I should say, also joined by Gary in Dallas. Gary, how are you, man?
It's great to have another show. It's good to have the whole tribe back. I hate it when mommy and daddy argue. Lots to get into. So let's get started.
Yes, let's get started, as Gary said.
Yeah, get it going, mummy.
By the way, you weren't here, Rob, before it was just me and Gary talking, right?
Uh-huh.
Gary has several jokes lined up, so just get ready. Just mentally prepare yourself for Gary trolling us throughout this show. I think just mentally preparing myself as well. Anyways, let's get to the news. Michael Benson being helpful in clipping the video for us from PBC. Deontay Wilder taking a stand against the WBC franchise title, explaining why he doesn't like the idea and won't accept if the WBC offer it to him. I'm just listening to the fans. I'm listening to my heart as well, too. Let's listen to the clip from Deontay Wilder.
Many people ask me about the franchise belt or whatever. I don't know much about it. I'm it's what I'm hearing. It allows you to stay a champion. You don't have to fight mandatories and stuff like that. And if that's the case, then I'm not interested in that. Yeah, I want the mandatory. That's what makes the sport. Guys work their way up, work hard to become number one and number two, and then become a mandatory. Why would you crown someone that eliminates all that? You don't have mandatories and different things like that. I love to be able to have a mandatory, him sitting And the more he wait, the more he get frustrated about certain things. And then when the fight comes, you had me waiting all this time. I'm ready. You know, it's always the build up to the fight. And when you take that away, when you take certain things away from boxing, you know what I mean? You take the charisma away from it. You take the excitement away from it. And that's what I don't want to do. I don't want to take the excitement away from anyone. Hopefully, you know, nothing.
I think we've heard enough, right? We're good. Right, we're good. We get it, Deontay. I will say this. Credit to him for obviously coming out here and being like on record saying, hey, I won't take it. Because no one else has done that, from my understanding. I mean, obviously Loma and Canelo didn't do that. They petitioned for this. From my understanding, like guys like Jose Ramirez, Gary Russell Jr., they've never come out and really denounced the franchise belt at all. This is the first WBC champion to really come on record and denounce what they're doing. So credit to him for that. Hopefully he sticks to it. Now, in my opinion, I always try to take things again to the more macro sense. And I keep having this reoccurring thought in my head every time we talk about this franchise champion. And it's not just specific to this discussion. It can be used to the proliferation of belts, period, right? The WBA regular champion, interim champion, the intercontinentals, the silver, the diamonds, all those belts, right? They all proliferate the alphabet soup of championships. I have been of the mindset for a while, and I don't know if I voiced this, but I believe I've have voiced this in the past, but I'm going to voice it more now. This is clearly, in my opinion, a way for the industry to devalue fighters. That because there's not a singular champion, right? We can't look at one guy in any division and go, yep, that's the guy. Or even with one sanctioning body now. We can't look at an individual sanctioning body and go, hey, look, that's the one guy at that sanctioning body. Because of that, it devalues the leverage and the negotiation power of all these champions and all these fighters. And I think it's just a really lazy tactic used by sanctioning bodies in tandem with promoters, maybe networks, to devalue fighters' negotiation power and therefore have a larger share of revenue. And on top of that, as is stated in Lance Pugmire's piece today, this is just another way to collect sanctioning fees on the very base level of greed and sort of monetary concern. But I think it's more than that. I think it, again, is a part of a system that devalues fighters, so therefore they have less leverage. You know, none of these champions can go to their promoter, a network, or whoever and say, I'm the number one guy in this division. And I think that should be a cause of concern for these fighters. I hope more fighters are thinking like Deontay Wilder, at least in this aspect, that this is a bad idea. This devalues in some nature to the sport. Now, he talks about entertainment. I don't think that's really what it is. But hopefully more fighters are thinking like, look, this doesn't give me any value as a fighter, as a brand, as a legacy. Why are you doing this? Start thinking about that more, fighters, because I believe it's a purposeful act to devalue your leverage and your power when it comes to wage share. Guys, any thoughts? Obviously on Deontay Wilder, sort of rejecting the franchise tag. And if you have any thoughts on my rant, you can have thoughts on it. But that was my rant. Gary?
I was going to let Rob go first because he's more into heavyweight boxing than I am. To me, it's good that he rejected the title, right? But I don't think the WBC likes that because the WBC just wants to collect sanctioning fees. So if they have two champions, that's more fees they can, collect. If they have three, even, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to lose Deontay Wilder as a champion because he generates a lot of revenue, right? He gets big purses and you get to tax those big purses. So you don't want to lose him. But at the same time, if you can add more champions and still collect from Deontay Wilder, that's a double win for the WBC. But, the difference, though, between Wilder and the other two champions is this is the only belt Wilder has. So if they took it from him and gave the WBC and, vacated it, would he really still technically be a heavyweight champion? You know what I'm saying? Like,
according to Mauricio, he is. Yes, he would be.
But again, that's a technicality. But in terms of name, it's hard to say that because Rob, we've watched the clips. Mauricio Sulaiman's out there saying this is not a new championship; it's a designation. Yeah. He has been out there on record saying that it's not a new championship. But in the case of, like Gary says, in Deontay Wilder, if he is to be designated something else, and his WBC belt is then given to Dylan White or whoever, right? How can you call him a champion when the franchise tag, you have been out there saying it's not a championship? And now I know he has come out there and said it is a championship at a later point in time and contradicted himself.
Yeah, big time.
So I just, it's hard to believe anything here from the sanctioning bodies, or to at least take them for face value, because this, in every sense of the discussion here, it just seems shady, right? Now, Rob, I know you haven't jumped in here, so I want to get your thoughts on, again, Wilder rejecting this as well, and then also just the proliferation of belts and designations or whatever this is.
Yeah, no, fair play to Wilder. If this is, I know in the past, I've always said, fucking hell, he just talks and talks and talks and talks. Sure, I mean, at some point, he's like a watch. He's going to be right a couple of times, right, a day. But if he means this and this is the truth, if it isn't offered to him, although I've seen a video of Mauricio, Sammy started like he was clowning Wilder a little bit, because he kind of said, no, this is for the best. This is for the best in the division. It's, but then he said, Wilder's team haven't, he hasn't petitioned for this. He hasn't asked for this. So no, he's not having it. He's busy and this, he's got.
Quickly, do you think that if Wilder were to petition for it, that he would get it automatically? Because I would say yes. I would say if Wilder and his team actually did petition.
Yeah, because I mean, Rob said it was from Boxing Social interview. It was a really good interview, because he brought up the Devin Haney thing. He asked about Lomachenko being undisputed when he faces the winner of Comey. He said, even though he's not the WBC champion, and Mauricio's like, well, he is the WBC champion. He said, no, and he was like, so yes, he would be. He goes, yeah, but Devin Haney's got the belt, and he's like, yes. It's like, what the fuck is going on? But but yeah, Wilder, if he makes his stance, and even if it's offered or he's instructed his team, don't go pursuing making me the franchise champion. That's fine. Then good on him. Then great. Slightly easy to now say he wants to face mandatories, considering now Fury has been elevated to the mandatory position. And that fight's already made, so I guess that's easy. But no, I can't sit here and say he doesn't mean it. He's lying. He's going to take it if it's, if fair enough. He's out there in the media saying he doesn't want it, and whether his reasoning is all garbled and you sort of half switch off, because sometimes that's what you tend to do with a Wilder sentence. But is valid, his reasoning's kind of valid. What he says I agree with, because that's been the whole stance behind, well, Dillian White's been number one for however long and he'd never got his shot. What the fuck's going on? But Wilder kind of said, the guys build themselves up into a position and then they get their shot. But for me, about all the bouts, it is becoming absolutely ridiculous. I've seen a whole debate today, like, the WBC or this, that, and the other regarding the championship bout, and I know you're going to talk about it later with the clenbuterol thing. For me now,
by the way, I do think they are separate issues. I know people might connect these issues, but I think they are separate issues.
Well, yeah, but it just falls under the
sanctioning body, so therefore
it's the WBC franchise thing, and it's the WBC that aren't following up on people pop in for whatever it is.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's like, for me it's the IBF now. They're the ones that at least they enforce mandatories, at least blah 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 blah. But I'm up for just scrapping the lot, and just, I know then it would put them under pressure, but like the Ring magazine is for the number one guy versus the number two guy. And now if you can build yourself up in rankings and take that number two spot, I don't know, we're potentially getting the best versus the best for the title. And I don't know, we saw it recently with Taylor and Prograis. That was for the Ring title, considered maybe the two best. You can argue Ramirez, obviously in that time he became, but at least it's just an argument about, I don't know, is that guy number two, or should so-and-so be number two? But if there's some kind of system where points against certain fighters, you might then find other matchups getting at a better standard, because that guy wants to elevate himself by earning like more, I don't know, ranking points or whatever, because he fought a better opponent than another guy having to fight 3 times to earn the same amount of point, kind of thing. So I don't know, the bout situation. If a casual is coming in, like, look, this weekend we're going to have all these new boxing fans. How are we going to explain to them not just the WBA Super, the regular, the interim, or the WBC Silver, the Pearl, the WBA Gold, but now the franchise thing?
You just don't.
Like, so there's this. Oh, is it about? Well, it's not about, but he's the franchise champ. Okay, so if someone beats him, he's the franchise. No, he gets a WBC Diamond belt. It's like, wait, check me out. This is just bullshit. You know what I mean? So I don't know if this is like definitely a deliberate thing for them to devalue, like you think. I don't know, but
yeah, that's my theory. It's just a theory. Just a wild.
I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying, but I just more along the lines of Gary that this is just another way to bring more money in by having.
Well, I think I think that as well, and then I think promoters love it.
We do, hang on, air quotes, know that the money from a WBC franchise fight goes to it. The WBC receive none of that. It just goes to their affiliated programs. So, yeah. Okay.
Well, I was gonna say something else, but I think I forgot what I was gonna say. But I think you guys made excellent points. I really don't need to retread ground. I agree with everything that you guys have said. I think the boxing community is in agreement here at some point. Like, this is like the one thing I feel like we do have a consensus on in this community. Like, whether you're a Matchroom fan, a PBC zombie, whatever, right? We agree sanctioned bodies are bullshit. You know, like, that's at least one thing we can all huddle around the fire and agree upon. And I will say this:
at the end of the day, we want the best fights made. We want to see the best fights. Sometimes those bodies get in the way of that.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's promoters or whatever, but it's just a frustration, and we've got our own opinion who's like the best,
Oh, yeah,
you know, the better ones. So I don't know. It's just international bouts and intercontinentals, and it's
EBUs, Commonwealth, NABF.
They're all right. There isn't a Commonwealth silver title, you know what I mean? It's like at least it's like of an area, and then I don't know, but yeah, it's super frustrating. But as fans, yeah, I guess we are kind of I've not seen anyone out there going like WBC. What a fantastic job they're doing right now.
And
yes.
And I will say this: Mauricio came out and said, like, this is like the point of this is to alleviate champions from mandatory so they can go fight unifications and such, right? But literally within all of their rules and regulations, every single sanction body, there's a line that talks about unifications taking precedence over mandatories. And every single sanction body. So they made a new title for a rule that they already have to fix an issue that in theory that rule should fix. But they just don't follow that rule ever. You know, you brought up the Josh Taylor Prograis fight, and obviously Taylor has 2 mandatories lined up. Ramirez has 2 mandatories lined up. We're not getting that fight probably till 2021. When that fight should happen summertime of 2020, honestly. Why? Because sanctioning bodies. Because they want that extra piece of the pie. And it's just frustrating. I'm over it. I'm over giving sanctioning bodies any praise.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I like you say, their sort of idea is that, I don't know, Canelo from now here on in is only in super fights. Now I know that's sort of the case because it's Canelo and he's always in a fight, but this means he doesn't have to face I don't know who's WBC who's his WBC mandatory.
It would have been Charlo.
But we'll take that anyway. But it just mean in cases, right? I don't know. Say if it would have been
like the Triple G Mando, Zemarata, that guy.
Yeah. So it's like let's see a big fight.
Let's talk about that, right? Because like if Charlo didn't want to, if Canelo didn't want to fight Charlo, he could just drop the belt. Like Canelo doesn't need a belt at this point of his career, right? Okay. Like doesn't matter. He could fight Bivol at 68, and it would be the biggest fight in boxing without a belt. So if he drops the belt, now the WBC doesn't collect anything on those $35 million purses of Canelo. So they had to do something.
And on top of it, I'm really curious because obviously with Canelo, it's always a case of, well, did Canelo say this or did Oscar say this? Like who's who's the one that's wanting this or that's leaking the information or telling the story. That's always, I think, now a factor with Canelo news. Switching back to the franchise petition from Canelo's team, I am curious, was that a Canelo move or was that an Oscar move?
Or was it a WBC move because he said fuck you to the WBC before, right? So I don't know whether that was a bit of a...
But when we reverse to today, right, talking about Wilder and petitioning, right, the language has always been from Mauricio that fighters have to sort of petition for this, at least from my understanding. Or at least their camps
he did
do.
Say that, but I wonder in the Canelo, the first one that was ever done, we're giving this to nothing ever came out that I know of, the Golden Boy or whoever asked to be made. A thing.
Are we assuming that Mauricio Sulaiman's going to be in LA for Devin Haney fight for his first title defense?
Doubtful.
Really?
I think he'll be there.
If he's there, I'm going to ask him some questions, guys. It's going to be great.
Okay.
Because I'm on a warpath this fight week. It's going to be great. And if Mauricio's on the hit list, I'm excited.
If you ask him about that, Matt, he's going to go into Sammy Sosa when you ask him about steroids. Just act like he doesn't speak English. I don't understand your question.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. My English is not that good. Next question. I'm not answering that. Yeah.
My English not that good.
That's coming.
Also, think about it, Matt. You might get the WBO guy there as well because Billy Joe.
That's right.
But if you could pick him out of a lineup, I'd be very impressed.
Dude, I have to go on his Twitter profile a lot and just examine that photo, man.
Find the common denominator in all these pictures. That must be him.
I think it's like a mustache, right? The guy has a mustache. It's really definable. Anyways, a brief source topic here. Then we're going to go to the clenbuterol rant. It's a little bit of the information coming out from DAZN in terms of... Not really DAZN. I should say Canelo Kovalev. I should say Canelo Kovalev as a whole because part of it's DAZN, part of it's Azteca TV in Mexico numbers I want to get to. So there's two aspects to the story. First off, let's talk about the DAZN aspect of the story, and that's in tandem with the whole intermission, right? The fact that they catered to a crossover fan base / MMA fan base, and on top of that, in this article from Sports Illustrated, they catered to the West Coast predominantly. And in this article, some of the analytics that Sports Illustrated got, it says that 75% of subscribers for Canelo come from the West Coast. So the more and more you dig into this, the more and more I understand why this intermission was made and why this decision was made. But man, the more and more I look at that 1 hour and 37-minute stat for that intermission, that's a big intermission for fights. Yes, I think the goal was the right move and sort of reiterating points that we've already made, but damn, the process to sort of get to that end goal was a complete clusterfuck. And it pissed off the DAZN base in a way. Yeah,
and for me that lands a little bit on Golden Boy why they didn't have some float fights to fill that, even if they had I don't know, a couple of 8-rounders. Agreed. I know there's still a gap, but you can drag that out a little bit with a couple of fights still and ease that pacing a little bit. And so I don't know why I know apparently Ryan Garcia knocking Duno out in the first fucking 30 seconds or really did change the oh fuck, but just I don't know, get some prospects or some, what that card was.
Well, at the very least, I don't know why they just didn't re-air older fights that already happened on DAZN, because the live attendance is watching UFC 244. You're not worried about them necessarily, right? Because you called ESPN, you called Dana, and you made sure you paid them enough to at least show that fight to your live attendance audience, right? But the DAZN viewing audience, they're just watching promo package after promo package, Meta World Peace telling them to buy the pay-per-view when it's not a pay-per-view. Hilarious. Why not show the Evan Holyfield fight or what other fights were on the card?
Because that was about 30 seconds as well.
But I mean, just why not just start re-airing other prelim fights at least? Do something here, because I guarantee you, everyone watching right then and there were not there at the beginning of the telecast watching the first fight that came on.
They could have said, guys, check this out over in the UK earlier today.
Or just air the Katie Taylor.
What a great fight between Felix Cash and Jack Cullen.
Ooh, I would have
check
liked that.
this action out, and everyone goes, fuck that. who's these British bums.
I wonder if that gets into like a cross of like the zone should have complete access to that, but if it's a golden boy card versus a matchroom card, I just wonder here if they can air footage. They should be able to, but
it's their footage,
right? Like I would assume
got
so.
Rights to it, so
it's golden boy, man. They're petty. Who knows? Other aspect of the story: the free TV ratings from Mexico via Barbosa Box on ESPN on Twitter and from ESPN. Saying Televisia did 11.9 million, Azteca TV did 19.7 million, and the Garcia Duno co-main event 13 million on Azteca and 9 million on Televisia. So it's not surprising because Canelo always does massive numbers in Mexico, but again, massive numbers for Canelo in Mexico. Not really a shocker. Guys, any thoughts on the Canelo Kovalev analytics? The whole West Coast audience being really the audience that subscribes for the Canelo, not East Coast. To me, not a shocker, just pure demographics. Make that a really easy thing to understand, I feel like. For those maybe I need to spell out, Canelo is Mexican, so he therefore is a draw to the Mexican or Mexican-American demographics, and those are largely in the Southwest or West Coast of the U.S. East Coast Latinos are largely Puerto Ricans or Cubans or other Caribbean markets.
I just had a question in reference to those numbers, like for the Jacobs fight. Jacobs being a New Yorker, were the numbers? Did it have better numbers on the East Coast for that fight? Because my initial reaction was that was a bigger fight, but I don't know if it'll do better because more people have the zone now. So I was just wondering if you had those demographics for the Jacobs fight.
No, I do not. For the zone analytics, no, I do not.
Right.
No, I do not. It was more of an all-encompassing. Hey, our subscribers for Canelo that from the language it sounded like from the Canelo Jacobs fight, these are the people that stayed for Canelo. 75% of them are from the West Coast. That's how I read it on the Sports Illustrated article. I'll post the link in the live chat for those that want to read it.
That makes you think because it looked like it sold pretty well. Canelo fielding in MSG. Should they take Canelo more to the East Coast and try and see if they can build a?
It's at a point now where it's like a Mayweather fight.
Doesn't matter.
You can only put it in Vegas because it's going to generate the most money. He's too big of a star. I mean, maybe you could put him at the Garden, but you're going to lose some money. You can hope you can get it back in other ways. But the MGM Grand or the T-Mobile, they're going to pay such a big site fee because it's going to bring in all those gamblers that.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, I just wondered if that gets the zone some more East Coast subs. If you put in on a prime time East Coast time Canelo fight, I feel the opponent is maybe, but
I feel like in some aspect you should just stay in your lane in a sense, right? Like Canelo is geared toward the Southwest and West Coast of the U.S. That's just what he's meant for. To force him in the New York or East Coast market may be just forcing a situation that's not really there in a way. And maybe it does work in some aspect, but probably largely that's not your avenue for East Coast sports fans. Maybe it's something else. I don't know what that something else is, but I would assume it has to be something else.
Yeah.
I think that was Eddie Hearns' plan for Jacobs. I really think in his heart of hearts, he thought Jacobs was going to beat Canelo, and then Jacobs would be that star on the East Coast, right?
Or at the very least,
or at
the very least, just Jacobs' star would rise.
Yeah.
And it never did, unfortunately.
Yeah, but we've established that you guys don't give two fucks. You haven't got a heart, so the whole.
Hey, us have heart. Hey, we love Canelo.
I don't love. I mean, I don't dislike him. I just I need to root for. I'm starting to like Canelo more because of what he's doing, but I'm not a Canelo.
You know why? Because Gary doesn't hang out with enough Latinos.
That's not true, but okay.
Or at least enough Latinos that love Canelo. I'll put it that way. You hang out with Triple G Latinos.
But yeah, and I believe the delay allowed 100,000 existing subscribers to log in. Because the fight
I didn't see that number, but I can look back on it. Was it in the Sports Illustrated article?
No, that was. I think that was in the Athletic. It was a DAZN spokesperson said. I think.
Okay, I'll look for that maybe some other time. But
hey, yeah, apparently 100,000. It allowed 100,000, ish existing subscribers to log in and say whether they were watching the UFC fight as well, and then they realized Canelo hasn't even fought yet. Oh, cool. Log in and watch Canelo.
And just to that point, there are certain sporting events that are more geared toward an East Coast market and audience than a West Coast market, and vice versa. Canelo fights will always be geared towards more of a West Coast audience. So it's not surprising that it was on very late for the East Coast, but for the West Coast, it's still 10 o'clock when that fight came on, 10:30. And that's not a big deal on the West Coast. But for the East Coast, for the 3-hour difference, it is. But sorry. I mean,
get that thick skin.
I think, again, the fact that they punted to the UFC is not a big concern. Though shout out to Brian Campbell and Chuck Mendehall on Mortal Kombat. Check out that show. Brian Campbell of CBS and State of Combat, also that show as well. He, I think, did a really good argument and had a good argument for why this is an issue for boxing. But in my opinion, I'd sort of disregard that argument. I don't think it's a big issue. I don't think it's as much of a concern that boxing has to share space with other combat sports for the U.S. sporting audience. Sorry. And I know maybe it's a shock that a guy like Canelo's status had to do that for guys like Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal, and boxing heads are going to look at their resumes and go, what the fuck is going on? But sorry, if anyone with any clue in terms of online metrics and who is a bigger draw, what card is drawing more, you knew which card was the behemoth of the night. And unfortunately, it wasn't Canelo Kovalev. It did half the amount of Google searches as UFC 244. That's significant.
And that's fine, right?
Yes, and that's fine, yes.
How much crossover? And I don't care. I'm not one of those guys who gets offended or triggered.
Yes,
if you're going to put more eyes in front of boxing, I don't care how you do it. I don't care if you showed at the monster truck rally and you get those. I don't care. Just put more eyes in front of boxing. Just if you can create one more fan, that's great. So I don't care about that. But how much crossover? And you know, because you follow both sports, is there really between those two sports?
I wouldn't say that much. I would say it's definitely a minority. What that minority is, I don't know. I don't have data to support this, but I would say it's 10, 15% is a shared audience.
I think DAZN's Joe Markowski said something at 10% or something along those lines. If I remember, he said it's not as big as some people are making that.
But see, here's the thing: for DAZN, what they have isn't really for crossover fans. Bellator is a clear second tier product to the UFC. In more ways than I can probably argue on the show. And if DAZN largely has a second-tier product comparative to, let's say, more hardcore offerings for boxing, right, which really DAZN has. I mean, obviously they have Canelo fights, which is maybe AJ fights, which aren't for hardcores, but largely a lot of the DAZN's boxing offerings is more for the hardcore base, right? Am I wrong in that? No, we're all agreeing there? Okay.
I would say so.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Casual isn't worried about the Sky Sports Next Gen.
Of course. Or a New Way Donaire, in 12 hours, which I have to stay up for a live fight chat, then go to a press conference in 4 hours afterwards.
I was going to ask you, are you going to stay up for that? Or are you going to go to sleep and then wake up?
I still don't know, but I am doing a live fight chat. So in the middle of the night tonight, vampire stream something. I'm going to be awake with a bunch of coffee. Help me, please. Somebody stay in the chat with me and keep me company. And
I'll be on my lunch break, so
you guys don't have to come. I'll just do it solo. I'm not asking any of you.
I'll be in the chat. I'll hang out.
No. But I mean, to be on the show. I'm not asking any of you guys to suffer like me. I'm doing this. It's okay. I'll bite the bullet. But
I was trying to wait. I'll get on it. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm going to watch it in the morning.
Gary, don't worry about it.
But Gary, I thought you were always awake at fucking 4 a.m. That's when you do all your work.
No,
it starts at 5, which is usually the time I go to bed. Right?
Wait, you go to bed at 5?
3, 5, sometimes 9 o'clock at night. It depends. I don't have a normal person's schedule.
That's a huge range. 3, 5, 9.
Yeah, 5 a.m., 9 p.m. I don't know. Just whenever.
Anyways, digressing. But I also have to but I have to go to the KSI Logan Paul press conference.
You'll be running. You know it. You can't wait.
Oh, my God. But that's, I think, really early in the morning, too. So, God,
you're going to be cranky.
I'm going to be so cranky. These are going to be great. But digressing from that, I forget what I was going to say. Oh, DAZN. What was I getting at? DAZN offering more of a hardcore content to... I totally forget. We got off on a tangent with Gary and sleeping at 5 p.m.
I don't know what you're going to say.
I don't know either. But digressing from that point that I forgot I was going to make. Sorry, guys.
It was probably going to make people press the thumbs down anyway, so don't worry about it.
Snarky cunt. Moving on. We reported on this, I believe, Sunday or last week or something to the effect. But the old DAZN $500 million investment they're looking for from Goldman Sachs. But another aspect to this is that they're releasing mainly most of their shoulder programming for free now. That it won't be behind the paywall. So 40 days, certain previews, the countdown shows, stuff like that. That's all going to be free going forward on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, I believe is what they're going to be posting all this stuff on. Now, that might just be for the countdown, but I know for a fact YouTube, Facebook for the rest of their shoulder programming. Yeah. And I mean, I will make this point right here that in this Axios article, DAZN executives believes each piece of content they produce should fall into one of three buckets, or to say, awareness programming or free stuff, acquisition programming or live events that will attract new subscribers, retention programming like documentaries that keep people subscribed to the service between big live events. Now, I mean, sports streaming is such a new horizon and new frontier, right? Like entertainment streaming, TV, movies is a now cemented industry and norm, right? Like we know the practices, we know how they operate. There's really few variations between streaming for entertainment. For sports, it's all new, so everyone's trying different things out in order to entice the TV remote user, the basic cable user, to go to streaming instead, to cut the cords. Because now cable providers and TV networks are actually encouraging cable cutting. I don't know if DAZN has the right idea of it. I just don't know yet. This is all new. But at least they're trying new stuff out. I do agree that they should put out a lot of their shoulder programming for free. Because otherwise, how will a completely new audience that doesn't know how to pronounce your name will know what the product is, know what the brand is? You have to put it out there for free in some aspect. That's just marketing and advertisement 101. So I do like that they're at least trying new things out. Smart. They have to. Because I think this is an ultra competitive environment right now when they're competing with ESPN Plus, and we know Amazon and Disney and others are trying to get Disney owns ESPN, but Amazon and Facebook are trying to get more invested into sports streaming. It's a ultra competitive market. DAZN has to think outside the box.
Can we address this? Kaz in the chat put Canelo and Loma with duck. Can he just explain who he thinks Canelo and Loma are ducking specifically?
Gary, you must know Kaz by now, right?
Charlo and Haney.
Okay. You duck Canelo. I mean, Canelo ducked Charlo to go fight Kovalev and then probably Bivol. That's the argument?
Yes.
All right, man. Okay. Next topic.
Yeah, that's how some people
we're on a different topic, Gary. You brought that one up.
I'm just looking at the chat, and he says Canelo duck, Loma duck. Like, they literally fight everyone. I mean, I know you can't fight everyone, but they fight everyone.
Look, Loma better watch himself because you never know. Gervonta Davis might call Al. All right, so he's calling Al. That's it.
I'm a Loma hater. Like I hate on Loma. I root against him. I rooted for your boy, $1 Million Crawler, against Loma. Like I root for everyone against Loma. Loma doesn't duck anybody. Like, can we just be real? Like, if you don't like him, that's fine. I don't like him either. But he doesn't duck people.
Gary, you've just answered to Kaz in the chat. Don't worry about it. Right.
Consider the source type thing. All right.
Yeah. He just got what he wanted.
Reeled me in. I took.
I was going to say, yeah, the DAZN thing. Yeah. I'm sure there's smart guys in there at the, figuring out what's the best way and that. So yeah, I guess, time will tell. And but apparently they're on the lookout for more funds to, acquire more live sporting events, to attract more subs. So I don't know. We'll see what. Just with lack of numbers and no data for us to even look at, it's hard, right? We don't know where they're at basically, so it's difficult. And Joe Markowski, when asked, he's like, we're a privately owned company. We don't have to put out numbers and stuff. But like you said, Matt, with ESPN Plus, that's got ESPN in front of it, right? So people know ESPN, and it's a huge mega channel that they can promote ESPN Plus, and if you want to watch this fight, it's over on our app. Here's how to do it, and it's,
for example, I mean,
advertising.
all week, all I saw were ads for UFC 244.
Yeah, for sure.
And I saw 0 TV ads on ESPN, obviously, for the DAZN-Canelo card.
Wow.
Shocked. But I mean, if you're a casual sporting fan, think about, like, for me, I am a casual sporting fan for other sports, right? So I do just go to ESPN and put on First Take and Sports Center and try just to digest what's happening in the wide world of sports beyond boxing and MMA. And if all I'm seeing, I'm the casual sporting fan, think about it, I'm the perfect demographic in that sense to advertise other things too, right?
Yeah.
And all I'm seeing is UFC 244 ads. Of course, it had double the Google searches than Canelo Kovalev does. Of course it did. Like, this is not a shocker. So DAZN is just fighting an uphill battle. So that's just a thing that they have to just realize, and us fans have to realize in some aspect too.
We're rooting for them, aren't we, Gary?
Absolutely.
I mean, whatever.
No, but yeah, it's always good to pop over and see what Stephen A. Smith has got to say about boxing. Or
no, it's never good to hear what Stephen A. Smith has to say about boxing.
No, it is. It's always entertaining. It is. It may not be right, and most likely isn't right.
No,
but
no.
Always entertaining. Just like Teddy Atlas. Like, most of what Teddy Atlas says nowadays is bullshit, but it's just entertaining bullshit.
Where is my?
I actually listened to Teddy's podcast, but I don't remember what it's called.
I've only listened to a few episodes. I haven't enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, I don't listen to it like religiously or anything, but I've listened to it enough.
Anyways.
No. Hell no. For what?
For what? When he says for what, I love that, man. That's every time.
Yeah, no, Teddy Atlas, he's all right, but he gets too. I don't know. He tries painting a picture, and it's
a bad picture.
It's like that. He's that guy with the big afro that used to paint.
Bob Ross, Bill.
Yeah.
Ross. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets a bit.
It's
crazy.
Bob Ross, right? Am I imagining that? It sounds.
Is it Bob Ross?
It's Bob someone.
It's Bob Ross. Then his last name is Ross.
His last name is for sure Ross.
Yeah.
But first name is for sure Bob.
Digressing from that point.
How do we get on Bob Ross?
Jim Ross was the WWE announcer.
Yes. And
oh my God.
He has a good podcast, by the way. Digress. Yeah, I've listened to a couple times. Decent podcast. Jim Ross, not Bob Ross. Bob Ross does not have a podcast.
Oh, doesn't he? Damn, I'm gonna get that.
Anyways, let's talk about the whole clenbuterol issue again with Julio Cesar Martinez and Rey Vargas being found innocent of their clenbuterol usage by the Clean Boxing Program, VADA, and the WBC. Now, sit back and relax. It's going to be a rant for the next 20 minutes.
Oh, what? That's fuck. Breathe. All right.
Well,
breathe.
20 minutes is not that long for me. Come on.
It is without breathing.
Without breathing. First off, I want to address, before I get into all the data and evidence to support why this is not an issue, I will say this. We do not know the numbers and the data to their tests and their levels. I do want to know that before I firmly set in this sort of mode of, yeah, they're completely innocent, guys. Like, back the fuck off. Like, all the Twitter accounts and just people online and boxing Twitter just upset about this, get the fuck over it. Because if their levels are below 1 nanogram per milliliter, they are fine. It is completely in line with food contamination and has been proven to not be performance enhancing at all. And this has been confirmed and made aware that China and Mexico, specifically those two countries, are at high risk for clenbuterol contamination. That's been set in motion for near a decade. WADA put out their statement November 2011 that athletes must show caution due to contaminated meat. This was in 2011, guys. So this was right after the Beijing Olympics when athletes were getting tested positive for clenbuterol, especially in China. In perspective here. Hold on. In their meat. And actually, the entire youth under 17 soccer team cut out again. Whoa.
Just let it go.
I'm sorry. We're back now, I think. I think we're back now, yes. I don't know why the stream keeps cutting out, guys. If it isn't, let me know, and it's just the system telling me it's cutting out. But it seems like, the man is upset with me here. But the entire Mexican under 17 age football team tested positive for clenbuterol, and they were all deemed due to contaminated food. On top of this, WADA came out in 2017 and put out a very long, lengthy statement after years and years of research, concluding that China and Mexico were obviously high-risk areas for contamination from meat, and that 1 nanogram per milliliter was the threshold for contaminated meat cases. And it's right here. All values were below 1 nanogram per milliliter and therefore in the range of potential meat contamination issues. This was determined years ago, guys. Years ago. And on top of that, guys, WADA came out. I know WADA is not a WADA-accredited agency, so maybe people don't care about this, but it does matter because WADA is the gold standard of PD regulation. WADA, I think it was yesterday, ruled on 52 new rule changes. And one of them, guys, was increasing the threshold of clenbuterol usage because there is such a high contamination issue in sports. Not just with clenbuterol, but all of sports. And Dave Marsden of Body Lock MMA, great source of information for anything PD regulation, details all of the major things in the new rules and regulations from WADA. And one of them is to increase thresholds for certain SARMs and certain PDs because of contaminated supplements, guys. Okay. Jeff Nowitzki, the head of the USADA UFC program, came out and said, look, a strict no-fail policy is no longer applicable to PD regulation. The foundational essence of PD regulation is gone in a sense. And on top of that, there is mass contamination issues in all of sports and just the world period. They're finding PDs and banned substances in your drinking water and daily vitamins all over the place now. So the idea to crucify Martinez and Rey Vargas, 2 Mexican fighters that train and live in Mexico when they are in high-risk areas for contamination, is just ludicrous. And the fact that boxing heads, I mean legit boxing heads, I'm not talking about the fanboys in replies or in mentions for people, legit boxing heads are still peddling talking points from over a decade ago now. Because this has been established science for a decade that if you are under this level, it is not performance enhancing and is in line with meat contamination. On top of that, and if you live in these areas and you test positive for this under this threshold, it will now be a atypical finding and not an adverse analytical finding. That is massive change. So the idea that these 2 guys are PD users or anything like that is ludicrous. And if anyone out there in the media is peddling that bullshit, shame on you. You are bad. You are a bad character, a bad faith actor in this space. Get out of our sport. You do more harm to our sport spreading disinformation than you do spreading more than you do anything else. So get out of here, please. Media members that are peddling this bullshit.
The only thing I would say is if they say that having under 1 nano isn't going to impact your performance, then it doesn't matter how you got it, right? Because it's not performance enhancing at that point.
Yes.
So what's the big deal? Like, what if he injected it straight into his blood, but it's under that threshold? It doesn't matter how he got. Like the meat contamination thing, never really. I don't care if you got it from meat contamination. If you're over, you can't get in the ring, right? But if they're saying it's not performance enhancing, how does it matter how he got it?
Time out. Hold on. Scott G saying, "Word UCAD allowed?" Yes, they were. And the fact that you, Scott, in the chat are too stupid to know that is a sign that you should be listening to me more. Because UCAD is a WADA-accredited agency. So everything I just said about WADA and their rules on clenbuterol are directly tied to UCAD. So yes, absolutely. And Arthur Povetkin did not test positive for clenbuterol. And he is not in China or Mexico. So stop bringing up his case. It's not analogous at all. Stop. UCAD and WADA are the same. UCAD is a WADA-accredited agency. UCAD gets its power and rules directly from WADA. So yes, would they allow it? Absolutely. Get the fuck out of here, man.
If you're gonna argue with Matt on this steroid anti-doping stuff, like you better be sharp, because I've never met anyone with as much knowledge on this subject as Matt. I'm just putting that out there. If you want to take him on, you better have your homework done.
And anyway, UK beef, you're probably likely to test positive for mad cow disease and not clenbuterol.
Is that an issue over there?
Huh?
Is that an issue over there?
Well, we did have, yeah.
Oh,
we
okay.
did have mad cow disease. I don't know if it's still, maybe. But
best grass-fed beef in the world, Texas grade A beef.
I knew he was going to say that.
Yeah,
I was going to say that. But digressing, I again, there's no issue
Matt?
other than it's the WBC, and the WBC should not make these determinations. I firmly agree with that. But they made the right determination here if his levels are below the threshold that WADA has set.
Yeah,
even though
it says like minute traces, but
and very quickly, I don't know exactly if VADA is 1-for-1 in terms of rules and regulations with WADA when it comes to clenbuterol and thresholds, because VADA is not a WADA accredited agency like UCAD, like USADA, and like others. So.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. What it says, I think in the WBC thing, it was minute traces, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there was not. Was there actual figure?
No figure given. So I do want to see that first.
Yeah. So, but I believe you said when the whole Canelo thing came up that he had a case to not even get suspended, like to fight it because it was such minute. Did his fall under the threshold?
Who?
Canelo's.
Yes, but remember the WBC and VADA didn't suspend him. It was Nevada because he's licensed by Nevada. So similar to like
who are by what does it? But what do Nevada themselves? What do they get governed by regarding?
They're the governance. They're the last one. You get licensed by them to fight. So if you're not licensed by them to fight, you can't fight in Nevada.
But if the testing agency said no, but he's cool, he's under the.
But you have to understand this: that the collection agency, which we call testing agencies often, right, which is UCAD, VADA, USADA, they often don't make determinations on this. Now, in UCAD's case for the British Boxing Board of Control, British Boxing Board of Control lets UCAD determine cases.
Okay.
But British Boxing Board of Control technically has the right to determine cases. They give the right back to UCAD. But in these instances, VADA, USADA, whatever the testing agency is or collection agency is, they just give the numbers to whoever has jurisdiction of it. Whether that's the UFC, whether that's the WBA, WBC, whether that's the state commission, and that could be all of them, right? For example, right, in certain cases, for Canelo's case, right, because obviously the WBC and the state commission made different rulings on the matter. But in Canelo's case, he was under the threshold. Canelo should not have received a suspension. But I believe that Nevada, due to public pressure, gave him a slap on the wrist because they thought if they listened to the experts, that the fans would and the consumers would get upset, and they didn't want to face that public backlash.
But they didn't give him a slap on the wrist. They gave him the standard penalty, 6 months. It wasn't a slap on the wrist. It was the standard penalty.
But in the public eyes, that is a slap on the wrist. I'll say that. You're right that it is the standard penalty. You're 100% right. But in the public's eyes, that's a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, no, I only brought it up because I thought people might be like, so wait, the WBC let these two guys off, but that Canelo got punished. That doesn't seem right.
But they did let Canelo, but it was Nevada that came in. And for obviously Martinez and Rey Vargas, I would assume at this point, because there's no fight lined up, really, that
Martinez is on the
yeah, but the fight's not made yet, and therefore that means license. He doesn't have the license yet. You understand? Like you don't get your license.
Could potentially they come to announce this card, and then where would Phoenix fall under? Arizona? Is it Arizona? Or
yes.
Arizona Commission say, well, let's have a look at these results. No, we're not giving you a license. Could they?
I mean, could they? Yes. Would they? Most likely not, due to the case that at the time of him testing positive, he is not under their jurisdiction. He's not licensed by them. So it's similar to Jared Miller's case, right?
Yeah,
with him, he just has to take some tests and go to a hearing, and he's gonna get licensed.
Yeah.
Right. That would be at most probably what you see in Martinez or Rey Vargas's case is that they have to go to a hearing, maybe take an extra test or two from the commission to prove that they're clean. But because this is literally not under the jurisdiction of these commissions, they cannot rule on it at this point in time.
This is the thing, like you just said, there's no fight made, this, that, and the other. And this was when VADA went knocking on Chavez's door, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't think he's part of the all-round program. And yet they went knocking for a sample, and he said no. And he said, I haven't got a fight.
No, you're right. No, okay. So to that story, Chavez Jacobs, the fight contract is supposed to have VADA attached to it. But like you said, Chavez is not with the clean boxing program, so he's not year-round tested. So they jump-started the contract, allegedly without the contract being done, per Chavez's team, right? That's what they've come out and said that, hey, the contract wasn't done, so therefore we weren't supposed to get tested by VADA yet. If that's the case, damn, that sucks, man. That really does.
Yeah. But, I mean, Eddie, just, I'm going to put air quotes. Eddie said, this isn't matchroom propaganda or anything. I'm just quoting that he believes because like the commission, like he'll be Chavez will be okay with the commissions and stuff.
Oh, you're talking about Julio Cesar Chavez? Yes.
Yeah. So that fight is still, I know, possibly is going to be announced on Friday. So
well, because if the case is that there's just a misunderstanding of when the contract was valid, you know, like then maybe like Chavez has a case there's like, look, I wasn't supposed to be tested yet, so why you're here? Instead of, oh, I don't want to be tested now, guys. Sorry, bye. There's a difference there. Like contractually speaking, if your contract isn't signed yet and the other side is trying to enforce the contract, that's impossible to do and would be a breach of contract. But digressing from that, because again, I can go on and on about clenbuterol and PEDs and PD regulation. But again, Dim Space on Twitter at Dim Space. Dave Marsden is his name. Check out his work. Check out this long thread about all the new rules and regulations from WADA. I know it's more in line with UFC with his framing, but for boxing, it is 100% applicable for UCAD. And a lot of some of the monetary and financial stipulations now attached to it are interesting. How, again, I would just implore everyone to go read his work. Any last thoughts on Martinez and Vargas popping for clenbuterol and not receiving a suspension? No, we're all good.
I don't know. Just for me, I know some fighters. Canelo's different. He probably can import fucking beef from wherever, and maybe some fighters can't. But to save all this, I don't know. Fighters just watch what you're putting in your bodies. Is it like?
No, it's a massive beef. Dude, it's
all beef in Mexico.
Yes, it's a massive.
You can't buy beef in Mexico without clenbuterol in it.
Dude, it's a massive issue. I'll find. I've read an article purely just about the topic of meat contamination. It wasn't related to sports, so it was a really insightful topic about article about it. I'll try to find that article and send it to you. But it's a massive issue. Like it's...
No, I know of the issue, but I mean, is it just in certain areas of Mexico? Is it
everywhere and high percentage too? So like in terms of like slaughterhouses, I forget the percentage of slaughter.
I don't know if Mexico's like the United States, but like in the United States, most of your beef comes from a few regions, right? So if it's infected there, most of the beef's going to be infected, right? Like if it's infected in Texas and Florida, most of the beef's going to be infected. Now there's cattle other places, but that's where most of your feed cattle is coming from.
Yes, good point. Then maybe it's not in every region, but the regions where beef is and livestock is sort of cultivated, it's rampant, and it's a massive concern. And it's also, again, a massive concern in China too. So it's not just a Mexico issue. Chinese fighters, especially in the UFC, they've had this issue a lot, and they've come to realize, hey, there's just massive contamination issues. And USADA has really been of a, hey, if you test positive under these levels in these regions, you just get a no fault. You get no suspension, you just get no fault, and we move on.
Yeah, I just think, go vegan, cut out all this speculation.
Go keto and eat nothing but beef.
No, don't do that.
Tofu. Go and get some tofu. That's all right.
Tofu has soy in it, right?
Soy boy.
Yeah. Soy is an inflammatory. So if you have epilepsy, it's Epilepsy Awareness Month, cut out the soy.
I did not know that.
There you go.
Soy, dairy, and something else. If you have epilepsy, cut it out. It's an inflammatory.
Dairy.
Do you call soya milk over there? Well, do you call it soya milk?
Well, it'd be soy milk.
Or like
maybe almond milk, soy milk. There's different types of milk.
Yeah, but it's I just always like almond milk. It's like it's not milk. It's from an almond.
I get it. Like milk comes from a cow. Well, what is almond milk, right? I get it. Yeah.
Juice from an almond.
I still don't know what almond milk is, really. Moving on, Eddie Hearn has stated that he believes Alexander Usyk and his team, quote, quite fancy the Derek Chisora fight, end quote. They're now way up whether to wait for his WBO mandatory shot or face Chisora in the meantime. This is from Seconds Out Live. We're getting it via Michael Benson. Guys, we've talked about the Usyk Chisora fight for months now, or weeks now at least. So, I mean, this isn't new to me. Like, I think this is sort of the perfect fight next. The only thing I'm worried about is if it's for a vacant belt or not, and then it makes me upset. But that's beside the point.
Judging by that, it's as if they'll do this fairly soon. I don't know, before like an order would be given from the WBO or whatever. So I don't know, but yeah, sign me up. I'll watch that. I'll watch a press conference with my finger over the screen record button.
They're just probably just gonna wait till December, right? When they find out what happens with the WBO.
Well, it's not going to get made before the Joshua fight, is it?
No, I would assume not, right?
No.
Gary, now that we know that Usyk wants the Chisora fight, not just Eddie Hearn talking about the Usyk Chisora fight. Now we know that Usyk wants it.
Fancies it.
He fancies it.
I
am very feel.
I'm very feel.
I don't know. I just feel like you're fucking me with no Vaseline right now.
It's bullshit.
I like the fight. I think it's good. I mean, look, the Witherspoon fight is a throwaway. It's a sparring session. Throw it away. It doesn't count for anything. You know, and
he got touched up.
Let's have that again. He got hands on him.
Oh, man.
The paws were laid on him from Witherspoon. Witherspoon
he
put
got
it on
hit more
Usyk.
than you would have expected. Is that a lot? I don't know if that's a lot.
Reese Witherspoon.
Yes.
Reese Witherspoon.
No, I'd understand it if that was the case.
No, I think this is good because Chisora is kind of like that B-level heavyweight. Beat him, and you're ready to go. And if you're Chisora, I think Witherspoon, and Rob's going to get triggered. Witherspoon put hands on him. If I put hands on him like that, I'm going to knock him out. So I think Chisora wants that fight too because he thinks he can win it. You know, so I think it's a good fight for everybody.
I agree.
If it was Reese Witherspoon, I'm fighting with my hands down.
Call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue.
Tag Reese Witherspoon in the show.
Don't do that. Don't do that, please.
Every time I say Witherspoon put hands on Usyk, I think Rob's going to have another another all-out brawl.
Nah, it's not KSI Logan Paul. We're good.
The only thing I need to know is that I know I'm right. That's it.
All that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's been right a couple weeks in a row. It just fucking sucks.
Wait for a New Ways brother for me to get my hot take pick to come in as well.
I can't believe if you get that one right, I'll be so upset.
Have you ever seen him fight, Rob? Have you ever seen Takuma? Against who?
I can't remember who it is again.
Okay, but you've seen him fight. Okay, I'll take your word for it. I've seen him fight once 3 years ago, but that's fine.
3 years ago, really? He's been like all of the New Ways undercards.
Has he? I probably seen him. The only fight I remember him fighting was against the Filipino guy, Geraldo. That's the only fight I remember off the top of my head.
It's because most of those fights are forgettable. That's why. They're not that good. Moving on. Chavez Jr. sort of switching back to what we were talking about earlier. Chavez Jr. still focused on facing Chavez. Believes fight will happen per Miguel Rivera of Boxing Scene. And so, Rob.
What was that? I was looking at Takuma's resume.
I mean,
there's nothing on it. There's nothing on it.
He beat a guy that was 48-0. What are you talking about?
Anyways, Chavez Jr., do we think that he just, because with the whole contract allegation that, you know, the VADA testing wasn't tied with the contract wasn't signed, that he's going to get off and this fight's going to go ahead and we're not going to get Jacobs-Rosado?
Nah, it's still going to be Jacobs-Chavez.
You think so?
I think so, too.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
With some interesting names on the card, right?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second, yeah.
Jacobs-Rosado bombs on the West Coast. Like, it might do better on the East Coast. It would obviously would do better on the East Coast.
But still
bombs. Is Phoenix going to be like another Mulvane?
Yes.
Kansas? Is Phoenix
well, first off, Phoenix there's no big arena they're going to go in, so it's probably going to just be a small casino. So you're not going to have a big audience, period, most likely.
Well, the Phoenix Suns have I don't even know what
they do,
call
but they're not going to put Jacobs
The
Chavez
Cardinals-
in that.
The Cardinals have got a stadium, right?
Yeah, but they're not putting Jacobs Chavez in a 20 to 60,000 seater. They're just not doing that. I know you're joking. I think this is a casino fight if you're putting it in
Probably.
Phoenix, right? If it's New York, you're going to try maybe the big theater.
For sure.
You're
Yeah.
gonna
the
try
big
it.
room.
It's Phoenix. It's Phoenix. Don't worry about other places. It's Phoenix.
No, I understand, but hey, if it's Rosado, they should pull out Phoenix ASAP. I forget what the question was originally, Rob, but it can't be good. I mean, if this is going to be another Mulvaney, Kansas,
Is it been traditionally maybe a boxing place, or has it ever really? No.
They want to test the market, right? Because it's a border state, right? It's not far from the border. They want to test it out, and they want to see if they can make it one with the Mexican community. And I don't know, maybe they can. I don't think they're going to make it New York or LA or Texas, but maybe they can.
Top Rank has tried though with Phoenix. They tried with Gilberto Ramirez before. I think they've tried with other Mexican fighters like Oscar Valdez.
Well, they just did one with Beltran not that long ago. I don't know how it did.
I feel like they've tried in Phoenix, but it's just never been a market that is big enough for big fights. So you kind of put your fights on it, and it's just not a good media market as well. So you're not going to get enough hype. And plus, it's just not traditionally a fight town. So people aren't there thinking, oh, let's go watch fights this weekend, because that's not a normal thing. While in New York and LA, you can go any weekend and probably find a boxing or MMA card, right?
Maybe, but after what I saw, what Usyk did in Chicago, which I blasted and put it in Chicago, I'm just gonna hold judgment until after. I mean, I have my doubts about putting it in Phoenix too, but I'm gonna hold my judgment. So
no. Hold on. First off, I was right about Chicago. You were wrong.
I was dead wrong.
I was right, though.
I couldn't have been more wrong. I thought it was going to be 10 people there and no one was going to know anything. It was packed out. Yeah.
We have to admit that Chicago is a more media-friendly city than Phoenix, Arizona.
Absolutely.
Right? It's a bigger market than Phoenix, Arizona. In every sense of the word.
100%.
Like actual market.
It's an actual market. Like Phoenix isn't a market. It's like putting fights in Albuquerque. Like, it's cool. Like, I like Albuquerque. It's a beautiful city.
Hot dog.
Phoenix is a little bigger than Albuquerque.
But you know what? Phoenix is an uglier city, so who cares? I mean, like, look, I've been to Phoenix. Cool town, I guess. It's fucking hot. This is not a fight town, and I think trying to force a Chavez fight here makes no sense. This should be in LA or Vegas. Put it either in the Cosmopolitan in Vegas or like the Hard Rock Casino in Vegas, or StubHub or the Forum in LA.
The Forum. This is a great Forum fight.
But no, for some reason, we don't want to do that.
What weekend is that? Is that the same weekend
December
as
20th.
the Charlo fight?
20th.
The 20th.
20th is the week after.
Yes.
Okay.
And a week before the Gervonta Davis fight.
And the day after or before an upcoming next gen show to be announced.
But speaking of that card, Hetty Earn has revealed possible names that could be on it. Some names we've heard of already. Julio Cesar Martinez and Christopher Rosales. That fight has been talked about on this card for a while. We know that. Luke Campbell has been attached to this card now from Eddie Hearn. Liam Smith, who I think has been attached maybe to a Jesse Vargas fight, and they've been talking about that forever. That would help in this market in Phoenix potentially, but not a lot because you have Jesse Vargas. Josh Kelly and Maurice Hooker have all been maybe attached to this card. Also talking about Dylan White, which we talked about before on the show. Check out another video we did. Dylan White back, blah, blah.
He's training hard right now. He's
but
massively.
Look, I will say this. This is a loaded card to put in Phoenix, Arizona. It makes no sense to me. Think about Dylan White, Jacobs, Chavez, Luke Campbell, Liam Smith, Jesse Vargas, Maurice Hooker. All these names are going to ask for a lot of money. And you're putting it in a market that doesn't generate a lot of money. Like, I'm not a rocket science here, but like either a lot of these names are going to drop off from the card or they're going to move the fight.
I think they're going to drop off a lot of those names and then just do another card in early January. Is that Rosales-Martinez fight signed and they just waiting to see
No. It's not signed, but that's the closest fight to being done on the undercard, I will say. And I would probably assume that both men are training at this point, thinking the fight's going to be done.
if that fight was the headline at the StubHub, because that's an awesome StubHub fight, how do you think that would do?
Dude, I don't know, man. Like, look.
That's a great fight.
There's a difference between, like, let's say just putting, like, Mexican or Latino names on cards and headliners and putting them in Latino markets and expecting them to sell, and then actually putting a Latino or Mexican name that is a draw on the top of the card and in those markets. You know what I mean? There's a difference to that, right?
I know that name. Those aren't names to a casual fan, but that is some fight.
It is, but think about Miguel Burchell. A way bigger name, a guy that's been in the market a lot longer. Look at the attendance that he just put in. And I don't know the numbers, but I watched the card for Jason Sosa.
And nobody was there. Wrong weekend because Canelo fought that week too.
True. True, but I think even without Canelo, like, I'm sorry, like, I think I may talk about this in my article coming out. It's almost done. It's very close to being done. I have like 2 more paragraphs to write, then I should be done with the article. They should consolidate a lot of these cards and efforts and start putting a lot of these other guys back onto the club show scene and reinvigorate the club show scene. Because right now what we get is a lot of club shows on TV and a lot of club quality shows on TV. And no offense to Martinez and Rosales, who I think are great fighters, but they're club level names.
It's a club level name, but they're co-main level fighters, right? Like, if
no, I didn't say them. We're talking about main event because you brought up Martinez. I'm not talking about co-main event. I'm talking about main event. Martinez Rosales is a club level main event. It's a great co-main event. It's a great card opener as well. I should say even more so, in the way I envision how cards should be structured. But if we were to get a main event of that fight at the StubHub, it would not do well. Maybe 1,500 people.
That's not good. Yeah.
And it should be, and instead they could probably just put it at, I don't know, some casino in LA or in LA County, Pachanga, and get some site fee from the casino instead and sell out 500, 1,000 tickets, and it actually fills up.
And that's a club level show. San Antonio do more than 1,500. Like, just, like 1,500 is not a good number. Yeah.
No, it's not. Moving on. Unless Rob, I think me and Gary talked a lot about these undercard fights. Your thoughts about it? I know there's a lot of UK names.
Yeah,
in the US market.
The sort of Scouse Liverpool population in Phoenix for Liam Smith, or whether there's a Sunderland population over there. They're very doubtful. But yeah, if Kelly's out there, he needs to have a fight. He hasn't fought since the Joshua card back in June. And interestingly, David Avanesian is going to be the headline for the new first Matchroom Spain card in Barcelona. And people have been like, oh, they're not. I thought they were fighting each other next. But Eddie said they're looking for that to headline a show early next year. So this is just going to be Josh Kelly sort of shaking off the rust, I guess, and an easy defense for David Avanesian. Yeah, I'm more interested in seeing that Dillian Whyte is back fighting, to be honest. Needs to be out by the end of the year if he's going to be fighting. But like I say, he's massively in the gym. Everything on his Instagram is all him training and training and training. So I guess a date is incoming, but I don't know.
Now, Rob, we've talked about this before about the difference in the UK market post DAZN, right? We've talked about this a lot, I should say. This is one of those cards, if all these names, let's say in some world, all these names end up on this card in Phoenix, Arizona, this is one of those cards that will get talked about. Is like, why aren't these names in the UK? Luke Campbell, Liam Smith, Josh Kelly, Dylan White, those are all UK names and draws of varying degrees. Why are they being put in not only just the US market, where they're not draws in, but the Phoenix market, which is especially not a market to grow their crossover, cross-international appeal. You're not putting these guys in major markets like LA or New York. It's sort of a waste of time, in my opinion. So, Rob, I mean, thoughts on, again, taking this card and if all these names are on it and thinking from the UK market perspective, is this continuing a bad trend of forcing UK names and real, like, top draws in a way, like Luke Campbell, Dylan White? Those are two guys that headline pay-per-views in this year in the UK. You're putting them in Phoenix, Arizona. should there be any concern, or does the UK fan have a right to be upset? I don't know if I'm asking the right question here, but is this an issue here?
I guess, yeah. I mean, Luke Campbell had to face Lomachenko to do just over 200,000 pay-per-view buys at £20. So I don't know. I guess he can go to America and not have to have such media obligations and all that comes with trying to sell a pay-per-view and make, I would say, probably similar money in some way. Not similar, but just not have to work.
There's no way he makes half of what he made against Loma, right?
I'm just saying, he's obviously getting good money without having to do all the work. But no, for sure, I want to see these guys on primetime, UK shows for sure. But it's just, I get how it's been this year. It's maybe that Campbell's just having another little run out. So yeah, it'd be nice to see him on UK TV. But if it's just going to be against a knockover, then go and show yourself somewhere else, I guess.
What's the next big UK card of the year? That's in the UK, right? Because AJ Ruiz obviously is not in the UK.
Yeah. We've got Saturday Night Fights is going to be, I guess, Callum Smith,
John Ryder.
Yeah. Which if Liam Smith's back out, I don't know. Although would you have both the brothers on? But they're talking about it for if the Callum headlines at Anfield, all the Smith brothers are going to be on there, even some coming back from retirement, and because it's a big Liverpool card. But
I think it's a misstep. And correct me if I'm wrong here, guys. And Gary, I like your opinion too on this, obviously, because this is now more of an international topic in a way, right? Because of DAZN, that Matchroom US and UK difference, right? Should Matchroom be? I'm gonna use this word. Maybe it's a negative word, but I'm gonna use it. I'm not implying a negative way of this, but is Matchroom or DAZN forcing UK names on US markets and cards? Is that a right strategy versus, let's say, acquiring more US names and, let's say, really going after that? I mean, I know they've tried to acquire more US names, a la PBC names and Top Rank names, but it seems like that has been largely given up on. Is the bang for the buck there for Matchroom and DAZN to put UK names in the US market and potentially losing money in the UK market in some fashion? Because I would assume, let's say, Dylan White, Luke Campbell, Liam Smith, Josh Kelly, you could put them all on a card in the UK and make a whole new card, right, with all those names. You could, and have a completely new card in the UK schedule. Is it better to put these names in the US market and, in theory, have established boxing names, but they're just not in the US market, be forced in the US market? Or should they try to acquire more US names and more US market draws?
They should try to acquire more U.S. names. I think Eddie, Matchroom is trying to, build stars on both sides of the Atlantic, and I just don't see that happening. Josh Kelly's not that good. Josh Kelly's never going to be a star in the U.S., right? He might be a star to a degree, like a regional star in the UK, but he's not good, right? He's not going to be a star in the U.S. His style isn't something that U.S. fans are going to jump at. So. And Liam Smith, Beefy Smith, he's never going to be a star in the U.S., so just keep them over there, right? I think Eddie is trying to make them a big enough star where he can have them fight in the U.S. and UK, and it won't really matter.
Pockets, yeah, it would just be the same money. Everyone's making money. Yeah,
but I don't see that happening.
Yeah, for me, obviously, the Matchroom, joint. US and UK, the US stable isn't big enough to sustain And
quickly, Rob, not to cut off, I just want to add this context for Matchroom to their benefit. It is a new venture for them. Matchroom US, and same with DAZN, has only been around a year, and maybe some change more for Matchroom USA because they've had Jacobs a little bit longer. But a new brand, a new company in a completely new market is always an uphill battle, especially in a competitive market. So I do understand why it's not a overnight success and why they don't have Mikey and Charlos and Spence. I understand that. I'm not saying that that's, what I'm expecting from them. For those that are listening, maybe, I just want to sort of clarify maybe my points a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I think it's an investment, and you can see he's got good prospects. So this is a long-term plan, like White Chocolate and also Ammo Williams. Like he's got good names. Like he's got guys. Otha Jones, even though he didn't look very good his last outing, but he's got guys. And I saw Marcus from Ohio in the chat, and Manriquez from Texas beat up your boy. But like you can see, it's a long-term investment. Like. He's in this for the long haul. This wasn't just like a quick experiment to see if he could do this.
Absolutely. But I feel like the overall strategy has been muddled a little bit because they're biting off a lot more than maybe they can chew in a way, trying to appease the UK market and now the US market, which is 4 times the size.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it has been
transition
this year for like UK fans. It's like, so he's going to fight over there, so we're not going to see him for the next like 4 months maybe, or depending what level of fighter they are. But I mean, look, Eddie's brought some of the young kids from the States to fight on UK cards, and they've got good like they've had a lot of sort of love shown to them, it's like, okay, I'm going to see you fight. And, they've had, but it's, it's like you're taking, like for the Joshua card, Callum Smith was over in America, fought on Dam. Well, glad he's back and he's got a hometown, up in Liverpool. But I don't know. Yeah, it just seems a lot going the other way. And,
it's hard to gain momentum in a way with that.
It is, but like you said, it's a year in. It's not like Eddie's been able to go out and buy the top 5 of every division in the States, or the top Americans of all the so yeah, I guess it will build and time will tell. We've just seemed to have people this side of things retiring as well. Crawler, Bellew, and Brooke coming to the end, and these kind of guys, and it's. I don't know. It's just, I don't know, like a transitional period at the moment. And yeah, it might be a rough ride for British fans or, whatever. But
well, on that point, like it's not only a transitional period, like generationally speaking for boxing in the UK, but it's a transitional period for the market, because now the market in the UK did become big enough to transport it and export it to the US in a way. Like UK boxing did get big enough to where they could do that. Though I will say this, consolidate some of that effort a little bit. Like if they ran, let's say, 60% of the Matchroom US cards and just consolidated the card amount, I think they would get a lot more bang for their buck, just being honest. And that goes across to like every promoter, to be honest. Right
I think Eddie is under pressure from DAZN to create
content
and cards. And I know it's it was a set amount of fights per year on the deal, but I don't know. I think he's under pressure to.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No, you're right.
This KSI Logan Paul fight, as much I know you hate him at, but this is, I think, come from. I mean, Eddie saw
a state of pressure. Is that what you're trying to say?
I think. I mean, he saw pound notes in this. He saw money in it. Don't get me wrong, but I think presented it to the DAZN, and they're like, "Fuck yeah, we'll have some of that." It's a subscriber grabber potentially, and we're. Yes,
and I'll go a little bit more, give a little more heat to it. I think DAZN does feel the pressure of this year. Like this year has not gone exactly the way they have thought. Right? I mean, not that's been a disaster. I'm not saying that.
I think the final part of the this last sort of autumn.
I'm not saying don't get me, like I said, it's not bad, but they I think thought they could acquire not just boxing rights more, but other rights more. I'm talking about DAZN as a whole, not Matchroom. They thought they could burst into this market a little bit fast and a little bit quicker before ESPN and change things really fast. I do believe they thought that. And I think it's a slower grind, and they're learning that now. And that's why you see a lot of changing of their format of how they run their company, is because they're realizing, look, the first 6 months of operation maybe wasn't the smoothest. Let's try changing things up, innovating some stuff within the company, and seeing if that works. And that's not a bad thing. That's just a reality of business and competing again in a ultra competitive market from ground zero.
Yeah. I mean, Eddie's held his hands up and said, "I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but fuck it, this has been hard." Like people leaving before the main event because they're the ticket. They've bought tickets to see the local guy, and then he's like, "Fuck, where you going?" It's like we got big babies next. What the hell's I think that was the Mulvane, Kansas.
Because Nico Hernandez is from Kansas. I don't know.
They all saw Nico Hernandez fight, and I think was that the card Clarissa Shields was on. It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like we got Clarissa Shields next, and then Gerald Miller, and he's like, no, there's still 2 more fights, and it's like people are like, I've come to see what I got. I mean, I can't like as a Brit, I'm with Eddie. I'm like, what the fuck? You bought a ticket. Why are you not? That's like leaving 3/4 of the way through a movie.
What happens all the time in other sports. Like baseball fans leave the game at the 7th inning all the time.
I do all the time to beat the traffic. You got to beat the traffic.
Why go? It's like I don't know.
But first off, baseball games are 5 hours long. If I just go for 3 hours,
why go?
I'm good. Well, guys want to go with friends and get drunk. I mean, that's what you do.
You go to a bar and do that.
No, you need some live entertainment. It's either going to be strippers or a game.
Or a band, or
that too. No,
Okay,
no, live band. No, live band too. If I
but
find a
why
bar
go
with a
to-
live band, I
why
am
go
there
to-
for like the whole night. When I was with Anthony and Oscar Willis from Mac Life and Submission Radio guys, we were out in LA partying. We found a bar that had like live bands, right? And we stayed there the rest of the night. It was like our home because why? Live bands. You can't beat it.
But you just said baseball games are like 5 hours, and that. So why did you even go when your preordained idea is it's fucking too long? I'm gonna leave before the end.
Well, baseball, like
They're
it's
cheap.
not like basketball. It's not like football where you have to keep up play by play with the strategy of the game. You could just look at baseball and nothing's changed in an hour, right? Like,
And I'll say
3
this.
up, 3 down. This guy walked. He got picked off, and like I've been drinking for an hour, having a blast, and I don't like. There's just this.
Baseball
going on.
Baseball is 100% the sport that you go and just hang out with friends at. Not really. Tickets are super cheap for baseball games. So you can go for like $15 and go to like a nice seat. And in baseball, like even the high rise, like bleeder seats are still kind of nice. And you have a great time with friends. And that's really what it is. Basketball, you go there to like watch an entertaining game.
Yeah.
Football, you go there to not see anything because the field's too far away. And live football sucks.
The best seat for a football game is your couch. Like
absolutely, don't go to football games. It's the worst. Though, like real football games, go live. I will say that. Like,
and if you go
soccer,
to the Northeast, like the Jets and the Giants and the Patriots and the Steelers and the Eagles, they're all outdoors, right? And then you go to the South, like New Orleans and Dallas, then it's in the insides. Like that's backwards. Like why didn't the cold places put a roof on it so that these games are at least manageable? But you go to a Patriots game in the middle of November and it's like 8 degrees. Like who wants this?
Yeah, I thought that. You got like
people in there with fucking iced over with 10 layers on. Just like, what are you doing?
Green Bay Packers. That's like an outdoor one, right?
Oh, that's probably the cold. Yeah, that's probably
yeah.
the
And
coldest
they're like
one.
fucking they're wearing Arctic exploration gear, watching their team with big pieces of cheese or whatever. Fuck whatever.
was it Minnesota?
In Texas? It's like 85, and you've fucking got a roof on and the air conditioning blowing.
Was it Minnesota that had its dome collapse because of snow?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. That shit's nuts. Moving on, though. Let's get to these topics as fast as possible. Call in 323-870-4051. Santiago, I see you. Press 1 if you want to talk to us. If not, we won't talk to you. Joe Joyce, Marco Huck announced next week, or to be announced next week. And get this, guys, the purse bid was won by Mark's team, which I think reported in the past, but the amount for the purse bid that they won was 480,000 euros, as opposed to Crinsbury's promotions, which bid 350,000 euros. Not a lot of money. I mean, decent money. Like up this way for
split.
What is the split? I'll try to find that.
For an EBU.
God knows. Maybe 50-50? I think it was 50-50, to be honest. I could be wrong about that.
25 each.
But
they said 480. So that 480 pounds. So that's 240, which is about $300,000. Right?
No, okay. It's not bad money.
It's not bad money at all.
No, it's not bad money at all. I would say this. Joe Joyce is in a position where I thought he could ease a bigger draw and that he in the UK could provide more monetary value. You know what I mean? So I thought like maybe Queensberry might put in like a €1 million bid, something like that. Something not high 7 figures, but like a 7-figure bid. But no, 350, like that's their valuation of A, this fight, and B, Joe Joyce. I wonder what the purse bids were. I mean, was Dubois or Gorman purse bid? Or was that just made?
That was just made. I think.
I'm curious what the next purse bid is.
Crazy that fight just got made. Like
I'm curious what the Dubois purse bid valuation would be and Queensberry valuation. Just curious as being petty, which fighter they value more. Just curious.
Out of Joyce and Dubois?
It's Dubois. I know it's Dubois.
But it's easily Dubois.
But I'm just like, I wonder what the purse bid would be. Like, let's say if it was Dubois, Marco Huck, would it be a 7-figure purse bid? Because Queensberry would want that.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
You know?
Yeah, Joe Joyce is not good, and Dubois is like the next possible great heavyweight champ. Like Dubois better be the bigger draw, the more valuable name.
That's true.
One guy is not good. The other guy might be an all-time great.
I mean,
and I know that's projection early, but
BT's own coverage interviewed Joyce saying basically, yeah, you don't want Leonard Dubois. You're fucking scared of it. It was like,
really? No way.
Yeah, they were savage with him when Dubois fought.
Not Gorman, the other guy, Ebenezer.
It might have been that.
Ebenezer Scrooge.
They basically say you don't want that Dubois smoke. You're a fucking pussy. It was translated into that basically.
Wait, they called Joe Joyce a pussy on BT?
No. Just
but in spirit,
I'm breaking it down.
But in spirits, that's amazing. If I'm Joe Joyce, I'm so upset, man.
Like I get that Dubois is not a gold medalist. He might not have the looks and the personality of Joshua. But like if he keeps projecting out like this, by the time he's 28, 29, by the time he's Joshua's age, he's better than Joshua.
Yeah.
As a fighter.
Wilder better have retired by then.
I don't know if that's a hot take from Gary. I don't know how I feel about that.
If he continues on the curve,
well, I'm a big Dubois fan. Like I've always been more of a Dubois fan than any of you guys on the panel. But like that's still projection, man. Like just slow the roll, man. Like
I'm projecting it.
Let guys have fights, man.
Wrap it up now.
Like I think a Dylan White fight, he would lose right now. Right? Luis Ortiz, he loses. Povetkin, he loses. Brian,
anything after that,
he ices Povetkin.
Chisora, he beats.
I think that's a tough fight. I think he beats him, but that's a tough fight.
Oscar Rivas, he beats.
No, not right now.
Brian Jennings,
maybe because Brian Jennings has no power.
Oh yeah,
because Brian Jennings has no power, I could see Jennings outboxing Dubois for a majority of rounds, but just getting beat up and getting knocked out.
I would have picked Gorman to beat Rivas or Jennings. And he disposed of Gorman.
Your disrespect of Rivas needs to be checked, bro. You need to go back.
Maybe.
You need to go back.
I thought Gorman was on his way. And then, I picked Gorman. I'm not going to lie. I picked Gorman to beat Dubois, and Dubois killed him. Dubois looked amazing in that fight.
I'm the only one, guys. I picked Dubois.
You have got
Don't forget it.
You've got to stop saying, Gary, that, but I picked.
That doesn't carry a whole lot of weight anymore. Yeah.
Well, Rob, you picked Gorman, too.
Did I? I can't remember.
You can't remember. Mr. Oh, I remember everything. You smoke weed. Yeah, you remember.
That was like a long time. You can't remember. Yes, you said use the link that we used yesterday.
Rob, when I am right over you, I remember every one of those occasions.
Yeah, that's how few and far between they are.
Ooh. Anyways, moving on.
I picked Zepeda to beat Pedraza, and you guys picked Pedraza.
Okay.
You did. I'm just saying.
I don't even know who won that fight. I don't care.
Zepeda won, 100 to 90. He won every round.
I don't know about that.
Congratulations, Gary. You got one.
Nicola Adams announcing her retirement. Shout out to Nicola Adams. When I've ever met her, she's always been very pleasant and very nice. So shout out to her. Hope you have a good post-career. Also, just sort of running through these topics as fast as possible now. PBC on FS1, Castano Amatosa numbers came out, averaged 159,000 viewers, peaked with 198,000. Not surprising with the main event that these guys aren't names. B, it was on the same night as Canelo, Kovalev, and an ESPN boxing card, and UFC 244. But on top of that, PBC FS1 numbers have been kind of bad. I'll say, like, they have not been anything worthwhile. Like, you had the rare big card, which was Plant Foogatti, right? That did really good numbers on FS1 from what I remember. I forget exactly what it did. But
1.9 million or something, wasn't it?
no, it wasn't that much.
No, 900.
It was 900,000 something. I don't know the exact number, but it was a really good number. Other than that, it's been pretty pedestrian viewership here on FS1 comparative to their Fox numbers. So not
My
surprised.
boy Brandon did pretty good. He did 350.
Yeah, I know, but that's still little. Like, that's not
Sure.
That's not anything to be happy about.
Like, the problem is, like, I'm not sure everyone can find FS1.
No,
right?
they can't.
Like, I guess it's fairly a new
You
thing.
can't find it. What are you talking about?
It is kind of deep in the guide. Like, I'll put it this way, for Fox, obviously, like just Big Fox, it's channel 11 for me, right? Fox Sports 1 is channel 617 or something like that for me. It's so far back, it's behind the movie channels, the porn channels, the pay-per-view channels. It's behind everything. Okay? That's where FS1, FS2, all that is tucked away.
That's just because your system remembers what you
What you watch the most?
No. I'm not gonna watch those porn channels. You have to pay for it. I get free porn on my phone, guys.
Porn would be ahead of Fox, wouldn't it?
who is legitimately buying porn on their TV in 2019? If you are, you're nasty. Don't do that. Just watch on your phone or your computer.
But not paying for it, you're just you're not contributing. It's like
no, but you have to pay for the porn channel.
It's like streaming boxing. That's you're fucking up the sport. You should pay for it.
I see. Okay.
I'll keep the industry going.
Yeah, you gotta support the porn stars, right? Camp Soda. You just go Camp Soda. Anyways, Gary, Rob, any thoughts on the viewership, or do you want to jump to the last topic of the day, which we might have a little debate about?
Very quick. Sorry for Nicola Adams. Having to leave for health reasons. Trouble with an eye. But fantastic. Was it like the first? Was it the first woman to win a gold, and then first woman to win double gold?
I don't know.
It just didn't quite go for her in the pros. Injuries and this, that, and the other. So health comes first, and she'll be fine outside of the ring. She'll do just great. So
she seems really connected with like Hollywood and like entertainment. From what
she's done just as well out of the ring as she has kind of in it. So shout out to her. But what was the other one?
The viewership for Castano.
Whatever. Whenever I speak on this, I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. I mean, it's bad viewership. I mean, we're probably just all in agreement here. Like, this is bad viewership for a litany of reasons. One of them is that neither of these guys are main eventers. So expect two non-main eventers to pull in bad viewership on a main event.
Yeah, I mean, shout out. Was it the ESPN card same night as Canelo? That really
did
well,
decent. That did like 6 something. I forget the exact.
85, something like that. Quite sort of high 6'8".
You know why I think that is? It's because the lead-in was the UFC prelims, and when the prelims stopped, it went to the boxing card, and then when the boxing card stopped, it went to the post-fight show for the UFC card. So it was kind of used as free product for people that weren't buying the pay-per-view on ESPN. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that was smart programming by ESPN to do that.
And you had that hour-and-a-half break in the Canelo fight, so you had to watch something. So you put the ESPN on and watch the other fight.
Especially if you're just a boxing fan, you're just gonna go to ESPN. Speaking of ESPN, last topic of the day, then we'll go to callers or just head out of here.
No, you're gonna do this.
I am gonna do it.
Sign me out.
I'm just a little clowning. Come on, this is a bad pound for pound list.
You're legit not happy with this.
No, this is bad. ESPN put out their cumulative, let's say, combined pound for pound rankings. Number 1, Vasily Lomachenko.
Shock.
Number 2, Terrence Crawford.
Shock.
Number 3, Canelo Alvarez.
Oh.
Hey, I mean, that's surprisingly high.
And this
for
was taken
ESPN.
after the Kovalev fight? Like, this
Yes.
wasn't done?
This was after the Kovalev fight. Yes.
I thought it was going to be Teofimo Lopez or something like that.
Shakur Stevenson, yeah.
Well, luckily they do a tabulated system. It's not just like Dan
You said
Rayfield.
Sorry.
Luckily it's not just Dan spouting off his opinions. Nayao Inoue at number 4, which is fine. That's actually respectable. Like, hey, props to them for that one.
Potentially accurate.
Yes, I will say that. That is an accurate, like,
that number even.
I agreed. Number 5, Earl Spence.
Sorry.
He's number 6.
Who?
Turn that 6 upside
For you?
down.
For you?
Spence is number 6. I think, like,
No, he's number 5.
but he should be 6, is what I'm saying.
Wait,
Yeah.
no, he's not, and he shouldn't be. We're gonna get to that in a second. Let me
Okay.
go through the list. Number 6, Alexander Usyk. Number 7, Gennady Golovkin. Number 8, Juan Francisco Estrada. Okay, I'll give you props for that one. Number 9, Manny Pacquiao. And this is the one where we may have a conversation about. We're like, I'm not mad about it. I'm not happy with it. I will say that. So I'm not giving it any soundbite or air horn or anything because I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that one quite yet. Number 10, though, to round it out and to finish it, Mikey Garcia. And quickly, guys, because this was a score system, right? The number 1 guy is 10 points, and you go down. That's how it's scored, right? How we did it before, right, Rob? All the people that were a part of this. Let me read everyone. The ESPN panel: Dan Rayfield, Andre Ward, Timothy Bradley, Joe Tessitore, Teddy Atlas, Steve Kim, Bernardo Pilati, Eric Raskin, Nick Parkinson, Nigel Collins, and Charles Manhon, and Salvador Rodriguez. Sorry. These are all the people that made this list. These were the people that received points but didn't make the list, okay? Deontay Wilder received the most points but did not make the list. You received 13 points. Artur Beterbiev received 11. Josh Taylor, 7. Oscar Valdez, 6. Sirikat Sororungisvai, 3. Miguel Burchell, 3. Leo Sandekers, 2. Sean Porter, 1. Koze Tanaka, 1 point. 1. Shakur Stevenson, a guy that has never beaten a top 15 guy in his division, a guy that got a belt from a vacancy, got 1 point as well. The same as Koze Tanaka.
Wait, did Josh Taylor get 0?
No, Josh Taylor got 7. He got 7.
Oh, okay.
He got 7. He got 1 more than Oscar Valdez. 1 more than Oscar Valdez. Okay, and half of what Deontay Wilder got. Like, I don't even know where to start here, guys. Like, this is just so bad.
Let me quickly tell you on the Athletic, when the Athletic made their first pound for pound list just recently, it was
worse, probably.
Coppinger, Pugmire, and who's the other guy? Rafe Bartholomew.
Rafe Bartholomew.
They were the 3 guys voting on the list. Pugmire voted. His list had Deontay Wilder at number 8. Coppinger and the other dude didn't even vote for Wilder. And in their cumulative final definitive list, Wilder scraped into the list at 10.
I was working on my list, just, not knowing we were going to do this. I got my first 7 in order. The last 3, there's like 4 guys for 3 spots. I don't know what to do with them. But I got my first 7. Y'all want to hear it?
Sure. Yeah, do it.
Well, as you're doing that, Rob, let's kind of quickly think of ours, if you can. Quickly, like you can. Hey, no one's holding this to you right now because we're just quickly doing off the spot. But first off,
Gary's is, and I'll chop it up.
If Tanaka is not in you guys', we're fighting, like fist fighting. I'm flying to the UK. I'm flying to Texas. We're fist fighting if Tanaka's not in any of you guys' list.
He's one of the 3 of the last 4 guys. I'll get to that, right?
Which is fine.
Go to Texas first.
Number 1 is Canelo. Number 2 is Crawford. Number 3 is Inoue. Number 4 is Loma. Number 5 is Usyk. Number 6 is Spence. Number 7 is Estrada. And then from there, the last 4 guys, I would say Taylor, Beterbiev, Tanaka, and then who was the Mikey Garcia would be like 3 of those last.
Well, that's easy,
there's
then.
3 spots for 4 guys, and I don't know which ones. I'm not down. Mikey lost to a guy 2 weight classes bigger than him. I'm not that down on him like Matt is, but Matt never liked him in the first place, really.
Oh, hey. We're back.
Oh,
No.
this guy was list.
Hey,
That
guys.
was an amazing.
No. We heard it all. We still could hear each other. Just for some reason that video cut out there.
Video.
Look, you're right, Gary. I've never been as high on Mikey as a pound for pound fighter as other people are. That's not like Sergey Lipinets giving issue for God's sake.
Kind of.
Till he got knocked the fuck out.
No, Lipinets went the distance.
No, Lipinets didn't get knocked out.
He got knocked down. He got dropped, but he went the distance.
And it wasn't that big of a knockdown.
Whenever it's someone you don't like.
Whoa. Guys, I don't know what's happening here. Hold on, let me refresh the page here and try to fix it. Apologies for the system today. I don't know what's up. YouTube and Lightstream have been kind of having issues. Wow. Guys, we might just have to end the show right here, unfortunately. Maybe pick up this topic for another time. I'll give it a few more seconds. It's trying to refresh right now. Rob, they can hear me. They can't hear you. Don't worry about it. Okay. It's not letting me refresh the page here, Rob and or Gary, if you guys are listening. So I'm probably gonna have to just stop the show. I'm sorry, and pick it back up tomorrow. But yeah, Deontay Wilder rejecting the WBC franchise tag. Tyson Fury talking shit. Oh, did we even get to that? I think we skipped that. A good thing we skipped it. It's okay. But anyways, guys, gonna be back tomorrow. Maybe, depending on when the press conference is and when it's done. Maybe just do a show with Gary. Maybe be too late for Rob, but I will for sure bring you guys content tomorrow from the press conference. And on top of that, obviously live fight chat, middle of the night for Inoue Donaire. Make sure you guys be there because I'm gonna be exhausted. But everyone have a great day, great night, great evening. Sorry the system dropped out like that, and I hope everyone has a great day. Peace.